The basic elements of typography in written language are thought to be as old as civilization itself. Understanding the history of type is integral to contemporary typography, as it is a craft that draws heavily on its past. By trying to understand the history of type, one can gain a greater appreciation for the font styles used in our daily modes of written communication, and the origins of how these letters came to be. One of the first points of importance in typographic history is during the mid-15th century, when movable type printing was introduced to Europe. In 1452, Johannes Gutenberg, a German blacksmith and printer, invented the first mechanical movable type of printing, creating a typeface for the Gutenberg Bible. The Gutenberg Bible was the first major book to be printed using movable type. Gutenberg's invention marked a great turning point in typography, as movable type could be mass-produced. As Gutenberg's invention spread across Europe, movable type helped develop mass communication during the Renaissance era, which attributed to the change of structure in society. By 1469, Nicolas Jenson, a French engraver and type designer based in Venice, created the first Roman typeface, which would later become one of the most important typefaces in history, as various typefaces stem from it, such as Claude Garamond, William Klassen, John Baskerville, and Giambattista Bedoni. These men all created their own variations of the Roman type, all of which were designed at different periods of time and culture. The next important typeface to emerge after the Roman type was the century-old style. The typeface was created in 1890 by American typeface designer Lynn Boyd Benton, and was the first typeface designed for a magazine. Between 1890 and 1980, with the Industrial Revolution taking place throughout the Western world, typography emerged as an important aspect of the printing industry. As it became so vital in day-to-day communication, during this period of new technology, the hot type and monotype machine made printing more and more controlled and automated rather than the manual typesetting of the past. In this time of industrialization and modernity, new technologies created a shift in the making and distribution of type, and new typefaces were continuously designed at a rapid rate. The most notable styles that were created during the 20th century were Futura, Gill Sans, Times New Roman, Courier, and Helvetica. These fonts and styles have all become important in understanding typographic history. They show us, in this time of digital typesetting, the importance of understanding where these styles came from, and understanding how old contemporary typography really is.
To most people, typefaces are fairly insignificant. You see them everywhere, on billboards, newspapers, posters, magazines, you name it, and it will most likely have some form of typeface on it. But what people don't often realize is that behind every letter written, there is a message being conveyed. Okay, so typeface will never quite replicate the intricacies of using a pen and ink, but with over 200,000 fonts to choose from, there is no shortage of different styles to choose from. Selecting a font is like getting dressed. Just as one chooses an outfit according to the occasion, one decides on a font according to the kind of message you are seeking to convey, says Julie Strawson, Director of Monotype Imaging. There is no limit to the vast range of emotions that can be reflected using typeface. Typography is so closely associated with language, you can express irony and get the whole complexity of emotion in there, says Jonathan Barnbrook, founder of Virus Fonts. It's getting hooked on the tiny details that is part of a typeface designer's essential makeup. For some, fonts have taken up a huge significance in their lives. The font Helvetica even has a cult. In this day and age, people no longer create or design their own techniques and typefaces. They would rather just copy someone else's idea. which they can find easily on any design blog. Nobody wants to experiment with type anymore. Instead, all people care about is how their design will appear. In the wise words of Darren Scott, who's the creative director, if these design skills are not passed on correctly, the future will be bleak. It will consist of generations of designers who believe that it is okay to send an email in Comic Sans.
James Hurst, digital director of the Type Foundry, says, "Don't worry about the future of type. 99.99% of the populace doesn't." He continues saying, they are always going to be evolving, and that is great. It adds a lovely texture to our lives. The future is uncertain. We don't really know where it will go or what will happen, says designer and typographer Eric Spiekerman. He has said that you might as well ask, what is the future of mankind? Why could anybody ask such a general and unspecific question? And he is right. Asking what the future of type is going to be is like asking mankind where it is going. Spiekerman continues saying, the future of type is the past of type, visual language. As long as we speak and write, we'll have type. So it all boils down to, as long as we have a need to type, write, and generally communicate with each other, whether it is written or typed, there will always be fonts and designers and typographers creating new typefaces for us to use. Yes, the future, like humanity, is uncertain, and yes, 99% of the population doesn't worry as long as they have fonts. Many will revert to the classical fonts like Times New Roman and Bodoni, the simple fonts like Helvetica and Futura, the bold fonts like FF Din. Although maybe something new will happen and we will develop a font that surpasses all of the classics. Maybe we won't need type at all. Who knows? Do you?